Hello, welcome to Computer Tech and More. Today we're going to be taking a look at another Royal Kludge 100 key keyboard. The box is very basic, so let's just go ahead and open it up and take a look. Inside the box we are greeted with this pretty nice looking plastic film, and inside the back we should get our accessories. We got some extra switches. Yep, that was it. Some extra switches, a keycap puller, and switch puller, and this sleeved cable. It is not braided. It is just a sleeved USB. Actually, this can do USB-C to USB-C, so that's pretty cool. So it has this little adapter. I actually really like that. That way it's more versatile for kind of future-proofing. A lot of bigger, better brands should actually be doing this too, so that way it'll work with old computers and new computers. Let's take a look at the keyboard. So as I'm opening this up on Amazon, this is listed as an $80 keyboard, so a fairly inexpensive option to get you into that mechanical keyboard space. And here it is. I think the colorscape on it is actually pretty cool looking. But kind of everybody has their own taste, and one of the nice things about it is you can pull off the keycaps and replace them, or the switches, if you so choose. Of course, if you are pulling all that off, then it is adding to the overall expense of this, so your $80 cheap keyboard can turn into a expensive side project pretty darn quickly. So it is a MX style switch on the top. Let's go ahead and pull that off. That came off pretty easily. It is a 3-pin MX style. It also looks like it has slots so that it can accept 5-pin, so that way you can kind of replace it with whatever you would like to replace it with. And it's got a North Pole LED in there. If you prefer South style, which some people do, it won't do that. The keycaps are not double shot. While I could not find any information on what material these keycaps are, but based on the price, I would suspect they are ABS, but I don't know for certain. They are double shot because you can see that the coloring on the inside is actually different, so it matches the inside plug here, but I just don't know if this is a PVT material or if it's an ABS material. With that said, because it's double shot, but it's not shine through double shot, the lighting effect will be around each key and not shine through it. So if you're in a dark environment, you will know where you are on the keyboard by feel, but not by sight, because you won't be able to see the letters. I do prefer it with backlighting for it to shine through the keys, so that is a little bit of a disadvantage for this one. But let's go ahead and explore a little bit more on this keyboard. So it has secondary functions imprinted on each of the keys, which I personally really like. I like it when a company will tell you straight up on the keyboard what each of the secondary functions are for each key. So for example, over here, I guess FN1 probably for a different profile, or maybe a different computer. I don't know specifically at this point. But you're getting pretty much the full functionality of a full-size keyboard, but in a size that is just a little bit bigger than a 10 keyless. And you still get your page up, page down, insert home, number lock, delete, print screen. I mean, it's all here. I personally own the drop shift keyboard currently, so this is basically just to fit in as a secondary keyboard to either be office or gaming. Haven't decided yet. So on the bottom you have an on-off switch. There we go. We got some lighting effects. I'm going to turn it off for now until we plug it into a computer. And what does this say? Oh, Bluetooth or the adapter. Right there is the adapter. It has its own nice little compartment on the bottom. Snaps in. The rubber feet on it feel pretty good. I'd be pretty happy with that. And it's got low mode with a little rubber on there. That's not quite as good as the main rubber on it flat. And these are stiff. And that rubber on the high foot is much better than the low foot. It does default come with a little bit of an angle. I do apologize that we're a little bit close to the keyboard. Just my capabilities of filming right now. So you are stuck with this angle. If you don't like it, having your keyboard at an angle, this will be a major downside for you, and you probably want to switch to something else. But the front does look fairly low, which is very nice. That means you may not need a wrist rest to use this keyboard. On the back, flipping it around, we got your USB-C in, and looks like two USB, probably 2.0 ports. Now, I would prefer that these are USB 3, just because, well, everything is USB 3, and I just feel like everything should be USB 3, especially if you're including a hub. But them being USB 2 isn't necessarily that much of a downside if you're plugging in like a controller, or, well, you wouldn't plug in headphones. Something else. Don't know. But it's nice that it includes that sort of thing, because then you can plug in an extra peripheral without needing to consume a port on your computer. Let's do a quick listen to the way the keyboard sounds. So overall, I think it sounds pretty good. But the real test is going to be plugging in and see how it does in typing and everything else. So let's go ahead and switch gears to that. Alrighty, so we're adjusting the backlighting. I have it sort of pre-set up. So it has a bunch of built-in lighting modes. So you press FN and then 1, 2, and 3, and that has some pre-installed ones. And pressing FN and page up cycles through kind of overall appearance changes, but I don't really want anything like that. I prefer just a static color. I mean, the other options look pretty cool, but I think would be distracting for a day-to-day use. So to set up a custom profile, we press FN and home, and then it activates these blinking lights. So to change your color scheme, you simply push the letters, well, you push all the letters, numbers, basically everything on it, and it turns on and off the lights, and as you push them, it cycles the various color options that are there. So I'm going to demonstrate doing that a little bit more. So there's blue, green, well, there's a different green. That's like an aqua, there's like a pink purple, or violet purple, I should say. I like a dark, like royal purple, personally. But this blue, oh, I want WASD to be red. 3, 1, oops, too many. So, I mean, it's awesome that this keyboard even has this feature, especially given its $63 price point. But I guess software would be more expensive than this. I don't know. I would think something like this would be more expensive to implement on the keyboard because it needs to like save the settings somehow. But to each their own, and I think it's kind of cool in a sadistic sort of way, because I mean you can see you know, me going through all this. Too bad I can't set it up to have an orange like my drop shift, I guess, but that gives you some idea. I'll check in when I'm done. Alright, I would say I'm pretty happy with this overall layout at this point. Took maybe 4 or 5 minutes in total to set it up. Now, one of the primary disadvantages is, so we got the blue, we got an aqua, we got a purple, that's off, we got a red, we got a yellow, got a green, and blue. So basically primary and secondary colors without really any color mixing in between. And if you notice right over here, you can bring that up, the lighting, it really isn't that great. The caps don't shine through, which is one major disadvantage for this. And so the overall appearance actually looks, I don't want to say bad, but the lighting isn't that great because it doesn't give the proper illumination for the color. So the red here actually looks pink to me, while over here it looks bright red. If I were to change all the ones around it, which let's go ahead and do that. Is that red? parts off. That's red. It greatly starts to improve the colors around it. So color mixing is poor, very poor. Matter of fact, there is none. And then the blending of the colors is also pretty significantly bad. But again, well, at $63, which is the price point that I'm reviewing it at, its regular price at $100. $100, hard to justify. $63, easy to justify. But now that we have it finished, we press Fn and home, and boom, our keyboard is now ready for full functional typing like a normal keyboard. So let's do a typing test, I guess. As a general reminder, with my typing test, my microphone is going to be pointed at the keyboard so you can hear what it sounds like. And I'm going to be reading past my camera onto the screen. I'm a little bit dyslexic, so my typing speed is actually not particularly fast, but it gives you some idea of how consistent I find this keyboard. And if you've watched any other content, you will know what these spikes are, where this one is like the mesh membrane keyboard from, what's it, Razer? And I don't remember what this one is offhand right now. Oops. All right, I got a little bit lost on the keyboard once or twice, but 60 words per minute is actually one of my better scores, and 98% accuracy is within my normal realm. Let's go back to the results. So that is overall a great result. So typing experience is overall pretty good. And just for kicks and giggles, this is the Amazon webpage. It does say swappable brown switches, although they don't feel particularly strong brown to me in terms of that tactile bump, but as we saw, it didn't really affect my typing speed. And there's a bunch of other product information here. So I'll let you, go through it. It's a lot of what we talked about already. Apparently I need to go back through and find the software because I did not see this, and that'll make a lot of things a lot easier for setting up this keyboard. And scroll down, and there's the bottom. It has overall very good reviews on Amazon. Of course, that does not mean that it's perfect. Out of 224, so I say that's more or less outside the normal range of kind of fake reviewage. Well, as a note, I went and looked at the software that was listed on the Amazon website, and it just leads us straight to a Google Drive. I call that download at your own risk, and it's hard to know. Well, it's most likely safe, but it's hard to know exactly if it's safe or not. Well, I really wanted to compare this keyboard against my drop shift, but because the lighting in it, I didn't really want to install the software, but because the lighting in it is not exactly the same, I didn't really want to do that, and it's missing shine through keycaps, so it isn't really a fair comparison. But what we can compare is the overall layout and the size. So let's go ahead and compare the size. If we line up the edge to the edge as close as we can, they are near on the same size. Just maybe a hair's breadth on this side, slightly smaller for the RK Royal Kludge, whatever, Kludge. don't know how it's pronounced. So that is overall a great size form factor for most people. Mind, I have been leaning towards the 75% keyboards a little bit more lately with a separate numpad, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. We got the USB ports on it for pass-through. Now this is going to be a bit harder to see, but we got home, my number lock I moved there, number lock is there, which means delete is there. So I swapped those two on mine, divide, multiply. On mine, this is print screen, subtract, add, so you get a large button there. So you got page up, page down there, which is the same. End is there, insert is there, and there's enter, delete, the 0. So where's my print screen? I probably just read it. My print screen is here, their print screen is there. So you get basically you get all the same functionality as a full-size keyboard, just some of them are a little bit reduced in size. And in some ways I like this a little bit better. In some ways I like my drop shift a little bit better. So options are good. It allows you to decide which one you prefer. And honestly, the price difference, this was like $250. Mind, it does have MX Browns, and I've since replaced some of them with a different switch, while this just has some unknown brown switch in it that honestly feels a little bit mushy. So this is just for kicks and giggles. If you're talking about like the front of the face before you get to the keys, the drop shift is a little bit lower. But when we're talking about the back, so this, I do have the feet installed. It is still lower. I don't know how else to demonstrate that then. So the vertical height of this one pretty well matches up to just the 1 foot level on the drop shift. So if you've ever used a drop shift or any of the drop keyboards, then this will do just fine. If you need a higher foot, it does have that, like we talked about before, but if you need something lower, the RK is not going to be what you want. Okay, this was for kicks, just to test it. I knew it wouldn't work, but I plugged in just an old external hard drive that I have floating around into the USB port just to see if it would, I don't know, power on while in receiver mode. It doesn't. So let's switch back over to wired. Okay, we got this plugged in. You can see the access light, so it's powered on. I'm going to run a real simple like crystal disk mark just to find out its speed. I suspect these pass-through ports are only USB 2, but there's an easy way to check, and that's running the mark. So this, I believe, is a SATA-based SSD, so that's SATA interface. I think that pretty much verifies it right there. 3.5 megabytes per second. If this was a USB 3 point, that would be substantially faster even considering that. So that means these USB pass-through ports will be plenty sufficient for your peripherals, something like a mouse, another keyboard, what else? A wireless controller, things like that. That would work just fine. For anything requiring bandwidth, so like this hub or hard drive, no, you're not going to be transferring files with it. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But then again, its price point is the price point is kind of makes sense with it. But it's a little bit of a disappointment. I would have liked to see them put a USB 3 port in there, or hub in there. All right, let's move on. So just because I may have jumped sections, I ended up not installing the software for it. Personally, I didn't feel like taking the risk. I got lighting set up kind of well enough. I think if I were to buy this, I would install the best antivirus software that I could find, install it, get it set up, and then remove it from my computer altogether. That's just kind of my thoughts. Now, it did look fairly full featured, especially given the $100 price tag, although on sale for 60 something. So we gotta take what you can get, I guess. And while I remember, we're going to be testing it out both wired and wirelessly. So we're going to check wired first. And my game of choice is Black Mesa. Just a good shooter to allow me to just run around and test out the keyboard. And while I test out my other keyboard. Well, the response time looks comparable to my Razer Azoth sitting right there. And, well, let's run around and see what we can do. Whoops, I just caused myself to blow up. Run! Boom. So, I'm also not playing seriously, so otherwise I would definitely not just be running into fire. Oh, the scientist is still alive. And I'm being shot at. Alright, let's go ahead and try it wirelessly here. Okay, the transition to wireless was fairly uneventful. You just have to flip the switch, so you make sure that the switch down here is on receiver and the other switch is on Bluetooth, and then you need the receiver here on, and it should work just fine. Alright, let's check it out. Oh, I forgot which weapon I was using. Oops, I'm gonna die here. Doodle-doo. Uh-oh, I'm out of ammo. Well, it doesn't make me any better or worse a gamer. The response time feels about the same, honestly, which is good. I mean, you're getting it from, what, a casual gamer, so you have to take everything I say with regard to that with a grain of salt. But certainly I would be very happy using this as my gaming keyboard at home in terms of its general feel and response. I would have no qualms about using it. I've got 19 health. There we go. Well, with that, I'm going to wrap up this review. So, it's a hefty keyboard. It works wirelessly, it works over Bluetooth, and it works wired. It technically does have software, but you can set it up completely without it, which is both kind of a plus and a minus because you're limited with your color options when you do it without the software. The software is only on a Google Drive, which I consider to be a huge disadvantage because it's basically, hey, do you trust, this manufacturer, this website, in order to not basically be hacking your computer? So I can't make that decision for you. I have no idea what kind of board in here to know if other software exists, like behind the scenes, to basically reprogram it with other things that's kind of outside my capability. I'm not a programmer. But the switches or the keycaps can be fully replaced if you want them to be fully shine through. Just like the switches themselves can be fully replaced. Now, I will say that the stock lighting on it is not as bright as some other keyboards, but it is certainly sufficient, and I think that most users would be happy with this as a first mechanical keyboard. I did find the tactileness of them to be kind of mundane, as in no real tactile bump. but it's overall not bad, and I think you could be pretty happy with it. And it gets you more or less a full-size keyboard in a compact size. And with that, thank you for watching my review on the RK100 or 98 100 key mechanical keyboard with wireless capability. Thanks for watching and have a good one. And don't forget to check out my Patreon.